Hey, welcome back everyone. It's me, Mr. 4K Upscaler. This video is something that I wanted to make for quite a while. This is regarding the CEO of Built Rocket Boy, Studio, and the guy who I'm talking about is the CEO, Leslie Benzies, also known as a former lead game designer for Grand Theft Auto games like Grand Theft Auto 5, Grand Theft Auto 4. So now, with his new developed studio, after he retired from Rockstar and left Rockstar, he decided to open his own company, developer studio called Build a Rocket Boy. And he is the CEO and founder of Built a Rocket Boy, Leslie Benzies. So recently there was a interview from, I believe, this website, Games Industry Biz, and the interview was conducted. It's conducted by transcript, basically. There's no video, audio. I wish that there was, but it's just conducted through a transcript, uh, and that what he agreed on, to do it just through a transcript. So what I'm going to do on this video, I'm going to read this transcript interview between journalist of Games Industry Biz and Leslie Benzies. So the interview was conducted by Samuel Roberts. It was published on May 30th, 2025. So let's go ahead and let's read this, shall we? All right. So let's start with the first question that was asked to Leslie Benzies, and Leslie Benzies, that's him, the guy right above me. He's the CEO of Built Rocket Boy. So the first question, as you can see here, was from the reporter, journalist from Game Industry Biz. What's your grand vision for MindsEye? What will it be at launch, and where is it going in the future? And Leslie Benzies has replied, MindsEye is one story in an epic universe. The other stories take place at different time periods and at different locations in the universe. This story, it's Jacob Diaz's story. There are also other stories within MindsEye, so we tell the backstories of other characters Jacob will meet. Why is this so important? And I'm going to highlight this to what Leslie has said, because this already shows you that this is a different type of game. It's not the type of a game that we envision, like some, half-assed single-player experience. This is much, much bigger than that. And the reason I'm making this video to show you this transcript interview, because after this video, I think you will have a much better understanding of what the greater picture, what the greater vision is from Leslie going in with MindsEye. And I think this goes back to what I was saying previously on my videos. Fact finding, right? Fact finding versus what your hopeful thinking is of what you expect game to be. Always stick to the fact finding. So that's what this is. You're hearing it directly from the horse's mouth, not from some other people out there making their own speculations, etc., etc., which there's so many out there on the internet, right? So what I like to do, I like to stick to fact finding when I'm doing my research, and not just stick to wishful thinking and hopeful thinking. That's not going to get me anywhere. Facts will get me somewhere, to have a better understanding of what the MindsEye is versus what I'm expecting it to be in my mind, which is always going to be different. All right, so why is this so important? Why did I highlight this? Because now you understand that the MindsEye, it's a much bigger concept. It's a much bigger picture, just like James Cameron Avatar when he first announced it and when he first made it in 2009 and released it in 2009, right? So this is that kind of a project that has a much bigger picture that will come to fruition throughout the coming years. They have a 10-year plan, which he talks about here, and how that plan is going to unfold throughout the years. Now, again, this goes back to how well successful this game is. It will determine the outcome of longevity of this game and all these plans that he has. So this right here tells you that MindsEye, it's a one story in a epic universe that is much bigger than just Red Rock City. It's not just about the Red Rock City. It's much, much bigger than Red Rock City. The other stories takes place at a different time periods. And we're talking 10,000 years ago. So we're kind of talking now a little bit of Assassin's Creed, if you will. I'm not saying that he's making this into Assassin's Creed, but there's certainly connections here that will take you back in time so you understand some of these connections and how they connect with each other. Now, he's not going to spoil that for us because he wants us to find out as we go, find out on our own. So that's why this is so important that I highlighted this for you guys to understand, like how bigger the concept is instead of what we just think of MindsEye. We're just thinking MindsEye is a driving game. Shoot 'em up, get out of the car, shoot 'em up, drive the car, shoot 'em up. It's not that type of a game. There's much more to this game than just that. Okay? And sure, it does borrow some Grand Theft Auto style, but that's because he worked on Grand Theft Auto. You know, and he knows how to do it really well. You know, he designed the Grand Theft Auto designs and the gameplay, you know, with the Grand Theft Auto 5 and Grand Theft Auto 4, so he's very familiar with that work. But he doesn't want this to be just some kind of a Grand Theft Auto spin-off. He wants this to be his own unique idea and signature. So he doesn't feel like he's ripping off Rockstar, you know. And he doesn't want to do that. And you see that, you will see that when you read this interview. You'll understand that. I will leave the link down below so you can read it yourself. But on this video, I want to kind of read it with you and give you my opinions and thoughts on it, okay? This will be a long video. It is what it is. I can't make these videos any shorter than what they really are, okay? Because there's so much here to unpack. There's so much here to talk about. All right. So, and then he says, there are also other stories within MindsEye. So we tell the backstories of other characters Jacob will meet. That's the way we're going to fill out the universe over time. So when you travel around, all the stories will be connected by one overreaching theme. And each story will have a different mechanics. And we'll give these mechanics to players within creator tools. So that's pretty amazing. So what does this mean? So this means when you travel around all the stories, they will be connected. Each story will connect the dots with the other stories. It's kind of like a missing link, and you're connecting. Each story has a connection with each of these universes that you will explore, for the lack of a better term. And on top of that, he will give the creators the tools to do that. So that means creators, us, players. So that means you'll be able to create your own little small towns if you want. And each player will have their own unique creativity experience that will connect to all these other universes, to all these other stories, which it's something that's part of this project called Everywhere, which he talks about at the very end of this interview. So another question that came in from a journalist: what will happen with the game after launch? The studio, this is what Leslie said. Leslie replied, the studio will support the game through Play MindsEye with continuous new content. Some of the content, like races, are made just for fun, but with most of the content, we'll try and incorporate it into the story. So once you played the big overreaching 10-year plan, you'll have a very good idea of what this universe looks like. So that means you will see the bigger picture over 10 years to understand the bigger picture, the bigger concept of this ambitious project that Leslie Benzies has implemented here. Now, is it going to be successful? Is it going to reach its full potential? That's yet to be seen. But just like with any project, you have to take a risk. Okay, Rome wasn't built overnight. Even Rockstar, you know, took a lot of great risks. Even with the Grand Theft Auto 3, they didn't know in 2001 that Grand Theft Auto 3 was going to be so successful, right? So everything you do, it's taking a risk. There's no guarantees in this life. Everything you do, it's roll of a dice, man. You take a risk every day. But you have to take a risk. But what you don't do is you don't take unnecessary risk, you see. But when it comes to creativity process, you do have to take a risk. See if it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. Move on to something else. You just have to kind of shake it off and move on. And that's it. And that's what he's doing. So there's no guarantees that this is going to be successful, but it's worth the risk to check it out, to see how people react, if people like it, how community reacts on it, when they start building their own little, worlds within the MindsEye. All right, so he continues. We have plans to add multiplayer, and this is Leslie. We have plans to add multiplayer, and we have plans to make full open world. And of course, we also got to look at what players are creating and incorporate that into our plans. Given the ease of tools, we think there's going to be a high percentage of players who will jump in and give it a pop and see how it feels. Hopefully, some will create compelling content we can then promote and make that part of our plans to push to other players. And so what this means is that just like Horizon World, like a MetaQuest, right? You guys familiar with the MetaQuest Facebook Horizon World? Why is my racing wheel turning? Anyway, sorry about that. I have a ghost driving my racing wheel in a house. It's haunted. But anyway, what he's trying to say here is you will have the ability, just like in a Meta Horizon world, to create your own worlds within that Meta Horizon world. So any of you who are familiar with the MetaQuest 3 and Horizon World, it's kind of like a VR chat. Let's not use the Horizon World. Let's just use a VR chat. Kind of like a VR chat. All these endless worlds. So he's basically giving the players the ability to create their own worlds within this sandbox that he's creating called the MindsEye. MindsEye, which is part of the everywhere concept. And that's, I think, where everything will become more intriguing, to see what the community is doing, to see what the community is creating. I want to see what my friends are creating. You want to see what I'm creating. So I think this is where the game will grow, along with all these upcoming stories that will connect the dots with the MindsEye, so you can understand the bigger picture of the MindsEye. So I think this is the concept that will make MindsEye stand out from Grand Theft Auto Online, right? Because you can't build your own stuff in Grand Theft Auto Online, correct? Rockstar doesn't even support LSPDFR, and which is beyond me why they don't support LSPDFR. Now, you have to go through all the hoops. You have to jump through all the hoops to get the LSPDFR. It's kind of a pain in the ass to get the LSPDFR working, because LSPDFR, it's not officially supported by Rockstar. Now, what Leslie Benzies is doing, he will support the community creations. Rockstar is not doing that. So just keep in mind, when you are playing Grand Theft Auto 5 online, uh, you can't create what you want to create. You have to go through other ways of doing it through PC, which of course it's not supported by Rockstar. So this is a huge step back from Grand Theft Auto. Here, Leslie Benzies is giving the players the opportunity to create their own unique experience. Now, there will be some rules, of course, to what's allowed to be created and what's not allowed to be created. Of course, there has to be guidelines, there has to be rules for legal reasons, of course. But that's the concept that's different from Grand Theft Auto here, is giving us, the players, the tools to create what we want to create. Of course, it has to be authorized by the MindsEye developers, but at least they're giving you the freedom to express yourselves and your experience with this game and use your creativity juices. You know, I think this is where the MindsEye will shine. All right, so let's continue with the interview transcript. So the question that was asked next was, is it best to think of MindsEye as the first game in a series of games, or one game as part of larger experience? So Leslie Benzies replies, MindsEye sits bang in the middle of our story. So we're going to go back 10,000 years, then we're going to go forward a certain amount of time. It's the relevant piece of the puzzle that will have players asking questions of what the bigger story is. We intentionally not released footage of huge parts of the game because we don't want to spoil anything for players. But this story does take some unusual twists. So this is interesting. Just the story of MindsEye, it'll be something as equal as Assassin's Creed. Like Assassin's Creed, you know how Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, it goes back through all these different timelines, the Vikings, the Romans, the Greeks, right? All of this just combined into a one universe, like what Ubisoft, like what Jade Raymond has created, right, in terms of story timeline. This is kind of similar to Jade Raymond's Assassin's Creed, to what Leslie Benzies is doing here with the MindsEye. So the MindsEye sits bang in the middle of our story. So we're going to go back 10,000 years, and then we're going to go forward a certain amount of time. It's the relevant piece of the puzzle that will have players asking questions or what the bigger story is. Obviously, he doesn't want to spoil that for us. You know, we intentionally not release the footage of huge parts of the game because we don't want to spoil anything for players. But this story does take some unusual twists, which is the exciting part of why I want to play this in the first place. Okay. So, so the main character, Diaz, it's just one piece of the puzzle. You know, this whole concept of this rocket boy entrepreneur, Marco Silva, and the mayor of Red Rock, Shiva. This is just one piece of the puzzle. You will understand like how this story connects to all the other stories that will be implemented throughout the coming years. So basically what I'm trying to say, when you purchase this game for $60, you're getting a great value here. Not only in terms of the story, but the investment in the next 10 years. So you will benefit greatly from purchasing this game. This is not going to be one of those games you spend $60, you finish the story, and you never touch it again. That's not this kind of a game. If that was the kind of a game, it's only 15 hours of story, roll the credits, and you never touch it again, then of course, no one would really bother playing this. But this is not that. This is much, much bigger than that. In terms of story, in terms of multiplayer, in terms of open world, in terms of community creativity, and how that's going to expand. And then 10 years investment from now till 2035. So there's a huge ambitious concept here that it's so different from what Grand Theft Auto is doing. Now, we also don't know what Grand Theft Auto 6 multiplayer is going to look like and what features Grand Theft Auto 6 Online is going to be like when it's finally announced, when it's finally being implemented, whenever that is. I don't think we'll see the multiplayer next year. I think multiplayer is something that will come later on. I think Grand Theft Auto 6 first will be focused on the single player open world experience, and then later after that the multiplayer will come. But this gives a great advantage to build Rocket Boy, build a Rocket Boy developer Leslie Benzies and his team gives them a great advantage to implement all of these features before Grand Theft Auto 6 officially launches their online, whenever that is. So they have a huge advantage with this delay of Grand Theft Auto 6. They have a huge advantage to implement all of these features throughout the summer, the fall, and the winter, and then throughout 2026. So they have a huge advantage to implement all of these updates and features. And I'm really interested to see how it all unfolds and how it all goes forward. So it'll be an interesting journey to go with MindsEye throughout this year, next year, and then to see how it stacks up with the Grand Theft Auto 6. So let's continue with the transcript. So again, the journalist who is interviewing asked the question to Leslie, what's your vision for the multiplayer component of the game? And Leslie replied, I guess there's two sides to the answer. The dream from the building side is to allow players the opportunity to create their own multiplayer open world games with ease. So anyone could pick up the game, jump in, drive around, stop at a point where they see something of interest, build a little mission, jump back in the car, drive again, build another mission. Once you build a couple of hundred of these, you built your own open world game. So that's the build side. So this is what I was talking about. Like, if you guys are familiar with MetaQuest, Meta Horizon World, and VR chat, it's kind of like that. The community is creating their worlds. And there's so many worlds in the VR chat. You can lose yourself in VR chat forever, dude. Forever. It's like a rabbit hole. Same thing in a Horizon world. You can lose yourself in there forever. It's like a rabbit hole. It's just you keep falling down and down and down and never ends. It's like an infinite and beyond of a universe. So same thing here. He's giving the tools to us, the players, to create interesting stuff. And I think this is going to be the fun aspect once the multiplayer launches this holiday season. Just in time for holidays, which is great. What better way than to have fun with this during the holiday season, and then into the winter, more tools will be available, more updates, new missions with the story will be available, etc., etc. So this is the concept of MindsEye that makes it so unique. It's not just the story. This franchise that will have its own connection, that will go in time, 10,000 years back and then forward. that will explore all of these timelines 10,000 years ago till present now. And not only do you have that rich, beautiful story that will be implemented, but at the same time, you have this multiplayer aspect that's also being implemented, that it really stands out as its own from Grand Theft Auto, because Grand Theft Auto is not doing this, at least not now with GTA 5. If you go in GTA Online, you can't build what you want to build. You have to buy stuff that Rockstar offers you to buy through their microtransactions. So that's what I think the difference is that stands out between what Grand Theft Auto 5 has currently, GTA Online, versus what built a Rocket Boy Leslie Benzies is creating here. I hope you guys understand that difference. And I think that's the unique aspect of this game. And I think when you see this video, when you finish watching this video, when you read this transcript, I think you will have a much, much, much better understanding of what you are investing when you purchase MindsEye. Especially next Tuesday when you're ready to purchase MindsEye. Also, when you see me live stream it next Tuesday, all of the stuff will be explained to all of you. But I think you should do yourself a favor as well and read this transcript. Read this interview. Do some fact findings. If I can do fact findings, so can you. And you will have a much better understanding of what this game is trying to be versus what you were thinking. And this is very great news. All of this is great news. Everyone should be excited about this because this shows you that there's a much bigger picture here. 10 years of investment. If the game is successful at launch and how many sales they make. So that means that you're investing into a game, if it's successful, in the next 10 years, man, this could be living, breathing universe that even Rockstar might be like saying, why haven't we thought about that? This might even inspire, if it's successful, it might even inspire Rockstar to do something like this as well with Grand Theft Auto 6 to connect the Vice City with Liberty City and San Andreas and Los Santos, to have all of these cities connected, right? Vice City, Liberty City, San Andreas, and Los Santos, and create them all together, right? So who knows, man? This is some very exciting time. And the fact that we have both of these games, that we have, Rockstar, Grand Theft Auto 6, and the MindsEye should make all of us very excited and very happy. So let's continue with a transcript. And I did say this is going to be a long video because there's so much I need to unpack. There's so much to unpack here, and I have to explain this to you so you understand, like in layman terms, so you understand the basic concept of what the MindsEye Bigger Picture is and what the plan is in the next 10 years. All right, so Leslie continues. He says, from our side, here, I'll highlight it for you. From our side, we want to create a place where people can socialize, play together, and engage in the stories that we build. So we do have plans next year to launch an open world multiplayer game that takes a place a year after MindsEye finishes. So it's going to be actually next year. Not this year, so I apologize, next year. So they do have a plan to release the multiplayer next year. In the interim, we also have an open world free roam game. So the open world free roam game will be available. So you can do that, build stuff, create some quick missions. It'll give you a little taste. So when you purchase the game, when you start playing it next week, it'll give you a little taste of what's to come. Just keep that in mind. It's going to give you a little taste of what's to come. Of course, the bigger picture will be once the multiplayer launches and the community starts creating stuff. And of course, once they add more of these stories that'll be connected with MindsEye. So we do have a plan. This is what Leslie says. Next year to launch an open world multiplayer game that takes place a year after MindsEye finishes. In the interim, we also have an open world free roam game that spans from when MindsEye finishes to the launch of the open world multiplayer game. And then he goes into saying all of these stories interconnect in a fairly unique and original way, which I think players like these days, they like the complexity of deeper stories. And actually, I am a sucker for a complexity of deeper stories. This is one of the reasons why I like Christopher Nolan. Like, I don't know how many times I've seen Tenet. I still watch Tenet. I figure out the Inception, but Tenet, I'm still like not there yet. I'm still trying to figure things out, trying to piece the puzzles together of what the Tenet really means, to decode the Tenet. So I'm all in for complexity of the stories. All right. So another question that was asked by a journalist to Leslie Benzies: you are selling the base game at launch with a pass for upcoming content additions. Do you have a vision for how you are going to package future stories in overreaching MindsEye experience? And Leslie says, it depends on the scale of the story. Some will be free and some will be paid, which makes total sense, man. You know, they have to make some money, so you can't expect every story to be free. Some will be free and some you will have to pay to support. It's a support, man. You know, you have to support the developers, man, if you want them to continue with, with this project. You know, no one's going to, work for free, all right? No one's going to create video games for you for free. So this makes total sense, And another question that they asked him, that developers have, that the journalist have asked Leslie Benzies was, after you left Rockstar Games, what came next? What led to you building the studio? So Leslie has replied, I spent a few years looking into some other things, going into some property development, using some of the games experiences. We made a thing called a VR Architect, which allowed you to build houses and view them in VR. That's pretty cool. I spent a lot of time in Los Angeles at this point, and this is when the droughts were very bad, meaning like it was very dry season, and the water in the desert, man, it's not something you come by very easily. I got into making these machines that would suck the water out of the air. Still sitting in my back garden in Los Angeles is this big clunky machine. It works like an air conditioning unit. It could suck up 1,000 liters of water. So I got involved with that. But there's really nothing like making games. The different type of people, the lawyers, the accountants, the programmers, the artists, the dancers, the singers, that bunch of people in one big pot all working together and turning something from a piece of paper into something on the screen. That's where I get my excitement. Since I was a kid, that's what I wanted to do. I thought I better get back into making games because nothing else was as much fun. So even though he was doing other things, like he mentioned, he created this machine that would suck the water out of thin air. But still, the video gaming, it's his passion, because he spent majority of his time working at the Rockstar, working on the Grand Theft Auto games. So of course, the video gaming, it's something that's dear to his heart, and that's why he uh, built a Rocket Boy studio, and that's why he's working on this ambitious project called the MindsEye. In the next 10 years, if everything works well, if they're financially able to continue, you know. All right, so here's another question from the journalist to Leslie. What was the journey towards creating MindsEye as your first standalone release? Leslie replies, your first game always your hardest. You have to build systems, you have to build the team. Everything is new. You don't really see a lot on the screen until you're down to the line, because you're building a underlying systems, physics systems, the gameplay systems. It's a slow start, but what you end up with is an engine. And obviously we use Unreal, which provides a certain level of support and building on top of that. We got to build our own stuff. We have to pack up everything we build and present it nicely for the creator tools. So it adds this extra layer of complexity to everything. But now, given where we are, the speed that we can iterate, we can very quickly place enemies, place vehicles, place puzzles, whatever, and get a feel for a game. We now got a great experienced team, a lot of talented guys in there. In the old days, you get a game, stick it on the shelf, and you wave goodbye. It's not like that anymore. You are continually fixing things. When you release a game, you suddenly got not 100 testers, but hopefully millions of testers. You got to continually fix, continually optimize, and especially with the tools that we got, we want to continually create a new content. So just remember, when you purchase MindsEye, it's always going to be working. There are always going to be updates. It's not like it's going to be hard to review MindsEye because it's not a finished product. It's still a continuous product. It's an ongoing, continuous product that will span for 10 years between now all the way through 2035. So that's 10 years from now till 2035. Okay? So that's 10 years of this game. That's a long time, dude. That's if everything works out. So here's yet another question. So MindsEye, it's a standalone game. And everywhere, it's not mentioned anywhere on the Steam page. But obviously, there's a strong build component to this game, which was part of the Everywhere pitch. What does this mean for Everywhere? And what was behind the decision to package the game this way? So that was the question from the journalist. And this is what Leslie has replied. Leslie says, this is all part of a bigger story and ecosystem that we got planned. Everywhere is going to show up again pretty soon. Everything we're working on, there's a story behind it, a big overreaching story. So Everywhere will come back and it fits into this story somewhere. I can't tell you where because it would be a spoiler, but that's going to reappear soon, and it will all be part of the same product. In terms of the tools doesn't really care what world you're building in. It sits separately, so any game we create, it will naturally work on top of it. But we are big fans of keeping everything thematically connected or connected through a narrative, and you'll see it. The bigger story will become obvious once you played through all of MindsEye. Then you might start to see how it all connects together to the Everywhere world. So the Everywhere world is this universe that will connect all of these stories from 10,000 years ago till now, that will span between now all the way through 2035. It's a very ambitious, giant project. So that's what the Everywhere world is. Not to mention the fact that you'll be able to build your own missions and your own world within this world that will not impact the story of the mind's eye, but you will be able to create within those worlds. Kind of like a World of Warcraft, kind of like that. Think of it like a World of Warcraft, or think of it like think of everywhere and as a Horizon world. And I know Horizon World is a VR chat. It's Meta Quest, but think of it like a Horizon world. That's what everywhere is, and within the Horizon world, there's all these other worlds. Okay, and think of Mind's Eye as part of that world. Okay, so this really stands out from Grand Theft Auto in a much bigger way, you know. So now when you're watching this video, and I know it's a long video, now you're having a better understanding of what the mind's eye is versus what you were thinking in your head. Oh, it's just going to be a simple single player, finish it 15 hours, never touch it again. And I understand why you felt that way. I felt that way too, but that's because I didn't have all the information. Now with the fact finding, that's why I use the word fact finding. Now with all the research and the fact finding that I have done, I have a much bigger picture of what the mind's eye is trying to be. I understand the concept. I understand the plan. Especially from the horse's mouth, which is, the CEO of Built the Rocket Boy, Leslie Benzies, telling us, what the greater picture is, what the greater plan is, And here's yet another question. Has the landscape for something like Everywhere or the build component to Mind's Eye changed as the platforms like UEFN have taken off or Roblox has become so huge? And this is what Leslie says. It's great to see these tools being used by people. I build a lot with my son. And when he builds, I see the excitements he gets. It reminds me of when I was a kid with my Dragon 32 computer managing to get a little character moving on the screen. That excitement of, wow, I did that, giving that to other people is massive. It's still very difficult to build in Roblox. For example, when my son wants to do it, I have to jump in. I used to be a programmer, and I struggle to build in there. When he wants to run around and scream with his friends, he's in Roblox. When he wants to build, he'll jump into Minecraft because Minecraft is a much easier system to build within. And I think we sit somewhere in the middle. You can get very high quality fun games, but they're very easy to build. I think we're at the infancy of this in video games. We're at the very beginning of it, and we're going to see way more of it. It doesn't necessarily have to be presenting it to your friends or to an audience. I think the process of creating for a human being, it's fun in itself. And it's true. I'm very creative. You guys are very creative because we always thrive to create something. That's the fun aspect of creating movies, of making movies. Tom Cruise talked about that, like the fun aspect of creating movies. He says, when I'm creating movies, I'm on vacation. I'm not working because he's doing what he loves doing. So we always have this creativity, like writing a book, right? So you can read it and visualize it in your head when you're reading it, right? Creating the music, right? Making those beautiful sounds that lifts you up, makes you excited. That's really, it's part of our culture to always be creative. That's part of art, and that's where the art comes in with the entertainment, creativity process. So here's yet another good question, and we'll read this one more question, and then I'm going to end the video here because it's already 44 minutes. I will leave the link where you can read all of this at your own time, read the entire interview, the entire transcript, and I would encourage you to read the whole thing because it will give you a much better explanation and a much bigger picture of what the mind's eye trying to be and what the mind's eye is versus what you were thinking. So, here's a question from a journalist. MindsEye has been positioned as a linear game. You are best known for creating open world games. What was behind the decision to make MindsEye a more linear narrative driven experience? And this is what Leslie says. I think certain stories are more difficult to present to players in an open world settings. Open world gives you a freedom. You don't necessarily want freedom to portray a story from MindsEye. It's a very set time in character. Jacob Diaz, Jacob Diaz life. You pick up as Jacob when he arrives in Red Rock, and when you leave Jacob at a certain point in the future. And so it'd be very difficult for us to have an open world in there. It's horses for courses. It depends what you're doing. But Jacob's story, it had to be a linear game. Having said that, there is a open world experience in there, and we can build them through Build MindsEye. There's a free roam open world mode where you play as a different character, and you see this, and you see his time from the end of MindsEye to the point of our next big planned lunch. Again, they're all connected through narrative, and we really want to show the universe, show the stories that we have taken place in the universe, the characters in the universe, and see how they've experienced the same experience but from a different viewpoints. And here's yet another question I just want to read, because I'm sure you guys want to hear this, from Leslie Benzies. This was the question that was asked. Was there ever discussion about creating a more traditional Grand Theft Auto competitor? And this is what Leslie says. In design, you look a lot of different options. I'm not sure it would have been smart as a company to say, we're going to compete with the biggest game on the planet. I'm not sure that would be the best business decision to make. We went through a bunch of different designs, and to tell our story, this is what we landed on. MindsEye is priced more like a game from a decade ago at $60, and it'll take around 20 hours to finish. Can you talk about how you settled on the game's length and scope and how you made that decision around price? So Leslie says, so you got MindsEye campaign. And yes, it'll be about 20-ish hours, which is pretty good for a single story campaign. But you do have all this other side content. There's going to be this continuous stream of content. These days, there's so many different options for people. It's not just games. There's streaming TV, so many good shows out there. I don't think you can have filler content in games. I think people want the meat and they want the potatoes. We try to make as much meat as we can, if that makes sense. I think that's a good length for a game. What you also find through data is that with big games, people don't play them all. The majority of people, 60% or 70% of people, don't actually play games to the end. So when you are making something, I would prefer, I'm sure the team would say the same, that you had the whole experience from the start to finish and not create this 200-hour game. Create something that is finishable, but have some side things that will fill out the universe. A lot of the side missions on the play side of the MindsEye do fill out the characters' backstories, or do fill out what's happening in the world. On price, the world's in a funny place. People are worried about the price of eggs. So value for money, I think people appreciate that when times are difficult. And he's right. All right, so there you have it, guys. I don't want to go through the whole thing. You guys can read the entire transcript. I just wanted to read the important questions and give you the important replies, answers that Mr. Benzies, Leslie Benzies, CEO of Built a Rocket Boy, has answered here. I think this video, how long is it? 49 minutes. This video will give you a much better understanding of what MindsEye is trying to be. Okay? And once you read the transcript, once you read the interview, you too also will have a much better understanding. So if you're still undecided, if you're still on the fence, you can come see me on Tuesday, June 10th. I will be live streaming it early in the morning, all day long. So come see me on the live stream, and I will be able to answer any questions or concerns you might have about the game. I do want more and more people to buy this game. I do want more and more people to pre-order this game because I do want to support this. I like the concept. When I like the idea, when I like the concept, when I like what Leslie Benzies has in plan for next 10 years, yeah, dude, I want to support. I will support you. Take my money, because I want them to bring all of these cool features and cool elements in the game. And I also understand the only way they can do that is financially. We have to help them financially, meaning we have to purchase the game. And I really would hope and I would say, yeah, guys, give it a try, man. Pre-order the game, buy the game. Let's help build the Rocket Boy achieve their goals. It'll benefit us. Trust me. This is someone who's passionate about creating video games. This is not someone who just wants to make a quick cash like some other developers, studios out there. This is someone who truly has a passion that wants this to be a much bigger living, breathing world in the next 10 years. Just like Roblox, just like, Minecraft, just like VR, Horizon World from Meta Quest, and VR chat, right? So I want to support this, and I hope that you guys will support it as well. But if you are on the fence, come see me on Tuesday, June 10th, and you too will see what the game is about. I will do my best to answer as many questions as I can. Okay. And try to answer it in the best way that I can based on what I know, based on what I have experienced. And hopefully that will be satisfactory to what you want to know regarding this game. All right, again, I know the video is too long, but like I said, I can't make these videos shorter because there's so much I need to unpack. There's so much here I need to cover and explain to you in layman's terms so you understand what the bigger picture is, what the bigger concept is of the MindsEye. Hopefully this video helps. If it did, I would hope you guys would subscribe, like, share. I mean, I try to do my best. I work hard as much as I can, dude. I try to bring these videos for you. I try to do these long live streams. Hopefully you guys show up on the long live streams. Hopefully you guys appreciate that. And if you do, guys, subscribing, it's simple. Just click subscribe. Really simple. Okay? I would really appreciate it if you guys would subscribe. Okay? Thank you. Thank you for watching.